medicine, man. Once again, I like to wish people the most peace and the most blessings that they can receive in life. That's real. My topic for today is basically who is your oldest ancestor. It's very important for us, those of us that venerate our ancestors, because there's a lot of people that don't understand. There's a lot of people that really don't understand what ancestral veneration is. So for this video, I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what ancestral veneration really is, because many of us have not really researched or had access or done the work that is required for us to really receive the downloads responsible for educating us as to who is the oldest ancestor. That's like a trick question, really. It's like, who is your oldest ancestor? Many of us would look at, Ancestral.com, and then we would trace our ancestral tree. We would trace our ancestral heritage. We would ask our grandparents. We ask our great-grandparents, well, who is so-and-so? Who is so-and-so and so-and-so in our family? And we come up with names of our great-great-grandparents. We come up with pictures of our great-great-grandparents. But the question today is, who is your oldest ancestor? What we teach over here at Godcraft University is that your oldest ancestor is God. God is the oldest ancestor because God, the source energy, is the oldest and the only energy that actually exists. And I know it flies over a lot of people's head, because when we were taught, and many of us were programmed, the ancestral veneration is about honoring our grandparents, our great-grandparents, great-granduncles, and people in our families that were an intricate part of our lives during the time they were living. Okay? Now, these people is what we call familial ancestors. These are the ancestors of your family. Okay? Now, you also have community-based ancestors. Okay? And you also have national ancestors. Okay? Like Malcolm X, for example, Huey P. Newton, for example, Martin Luther King, for example. These are all national ancestors. They are people that belong to a cultural and racial group of people, but yet they are not connected to you directly by bloodline. They're connected to you directly through heritage. So these people are considered national ancestors, people that did great things for the collective. Okay? And then you have your familial ancestors, of course, and then you have your bloodline ancestors. These are the people that you're directly connected through bloodline. The key to accessing ancestral energy is connecting to the source energy. So when we say we are connecting to the ancestral source energy, what we're saying is we're connecting to the God energy. You know why? Because you are the highest expression of your ancestors. You are the highest expression. Now, when we say you are the highest expression, what does that mean? On your paternal and your maternal bloodline, you are the highest expression of that bloodline. Because even in your family, there are, excuse me, even in your family, there are many bloodlines. But in your specific bloodline, that comes from your maternal side and your maternal side, your father and mother. It comes from those sides. That DNA combination includes all of the ancestors that are of your father's bloodline and all of the ancestors that are of your mother's bloodline. You are the highest expression of that. So when we talk about ancestral veneration, what exactly are we doing? What exactly are we saying? Well, we're really saying that you your DNA sequence, your DNA codes, and the fact that you are living in a 3D dimension makes you the highest expression of that. So when we look back at establishing, and building ancestral altars, let's ask ourselves for a moment. Let's ask ourselves, do we build this ancestral altar with our grandparents, our uncles, our cousins on this altar? Or do we build an altar that reflects the highest levels of ancestral energies in our bloodline, which would be you, which would be your children, which would be your grandchildren? Because if you're the highest expression of your current bloodline, then your children, your grandchildren, becomes the highest expressions of your bloodline. And with that being said, it's important not to venerate the dead, because the dead lives within the living. There is no such thing as dead. They are all living. All of the ancestors from your maternal and your paternal bloodline are all living ancestors that live within your DNA. Because they live within your DNA, you become the highest expressions of them. And so therefore, when you build a sacred space, when you build an ancestral space, you want to honor the highest expression of your ancestral energy, which is you, which is your children, which is your grandchildren, because they are the highest expressions. So in that, I'm going to leave you guys on this note. Being the highest expressions of your ancestral energy, of your ancestral bloodline, it really means that you should honor yourself. You should honor yourself by placing yourselves in great situations, placing yourselves around great people, placing yourselves in positions of opportunity to grow. Okay? Because when you go to build your ancestral altar, the question, do you build an altar to the ancestors that are no longer here physically? Because those ancestors are here spiritually, because they live within your DNA code. So do we erect an altar to them physically? The answer to that question nowadays is no. Not at Godcraft University. At Godcraft University, we work on building the highest expression. We work on building the best expression. The ultimate expression of your ancestral bloodline energy is within you, so you should venerate yourself, root for yourself, cheer for yourself. Because when you succeed, your bloodline succeeds. See, the work that your previous ancestors, grandparents, and your uncles and cousins, all who are deceased, the work that they have done is completed on this realm. So it's very important that you pick up the mantle and you complete the healing in your bloodline, so that future generations don't have to go through the trauma. So future generations don't have to go through the situations, the betrayal, the lies, the deceit that you had to go to and go through in order to grow. You are the highest expressions of your ancestors. So if you're asking me today, if I say you should build an ancestral altar that venerates the highest expression of your ancestors, which is you, yes, you should. You should build an altar to yourself, meaning it is best for you to put the people on your altar, because altar means to change. Altar, A-L-T-A-R, and A-L-T-E-R means to change. It means to make a specific change to a specific reality that you're trying to channel your energy into. So as you try to channel, or you attempt to channel your energy into something, you're trying to alter the reality, even through prayer, through meditation, through chanting, through channeling. They're trying to alter a specific reality. So in that quest to alter your specific reality, you have to realize where the highest expression is at. Where is the strongest energy of your ancestral bloodline? The strongest energy is within you, your children, your grandchildren, and those that come after you is where the highest expressions of your bloodline energy resides. So it's very important. If you're going to build an ancestral altar nowadays, you should build an altar with you and your children on it. Why? Because you guys are the highest expression. In the 3D reality, you guys are the highest expression. Build an altar to your children. Build an altar with your children, your family, you, all of the living ancestors. Because you are the ones that will carry the mantle and be responsible for the collective change of your generational bloodline. And with that, it's nothing but peace. You know what I mean? And this is Medicine Man. And I want y'all to understand that when we work, when we do that work, that internal work, we're going to face remnants of the past. We're going to face remnants of the present. We're going to face remnants of the future that's going to come into our path. And it's based on how we perceive that interaction that determines our perception of ourselves in the future. So we have to be very aware of who we are in our quest to heal our generational bloodlines. Now, not everybody is consumed or even interested in healing their generational bloodline because some people has become complacent with trauma. The complacency with trauma is going to lead you to a level of stagnation. It's going to lead you to stagnation. If you keep repeating the same cycle over and over again, sometimes it's very wise to take the knife at your back, cut off the energies that are trying to vehemently attach themselves to you because they're trying to find out who they are. So they attach themselves to you in wicked ways in most cases. But in reality, they have to go do the work. The work is not done through collective means, whereas collective rituals, are meaningless to your individual journey. Because you came into the world naked and you will leave naked, so it becomes a naked journey while you're here. And once you realize that your life path is a naked journey, you would begin to perceive your spirituality as an individual quest. It's not collective. You can share and exchange collective information with others. But your quest to achieve your growth, to achieve your ascension, to achieve your happiness is just an individual quest. Even though it may seem collective because you share so many collective interests with others, but the ultimate reality is that your dreams, your goals, and the things you're trying to achieve is only exclusive to you. Okay? Because you can see things that other people cannot see. Because those things that you're seeing are directly for you. Some of us don't pay attention to the signs. You know, in life, as I've traveled through life, I've been guilty of not paying attention to the signs that were clear in my face. I looked at the sign and be like, man, I can do it. And so God has a funny way of realigning you with your destiny when you bypass the spiritual signs and omens that God places in your life. You see, there is no spirit greater than the Spirit of God that He puts inside you. There's no spirit greater than that spirit. So what you need to learn and what we need to learn how to conjure is the spirit that God placed within us, not the spirits that already exist out here in the universe. Those spirits have their own destiny. Those spirits have their own assignment. And if we keep tampering with the assignment of other spirits in this universe, we never would make the time to take care of the assignment that God has placed on the spirit that He's put within inside me and you. So I've realized through experimentation, through experience, that the spirit that God has placed within me has an assignment, and that assignment is greater than the assignment that man can place on you, that situations can place on you, that environments can place on you. That assignment that God has placed in your spirit is so powerful that if you walk off of that path of that assignment, God has a funny way of realigning you with your assignment through trials, through tribulation, through obstacles. Because there's a saying by some very wise people that God would not place a burden on you greater than you can bear. I used to look at that and say, man, that ain't true. Because the level of this pain, the level of this situation is really so deep that I don't think I have the strength to overcome it. But sometimes God tells you and He shows you where the strength is at. He tells you you got the strength and you don't believe Him. But then He got to show you within your own self. This is why self-work is very important. God will show you within your own self where the strength is at. And at that point, you go get it, you grow, you change, you elevate, you become a better person, and you leave those demons exactly where they're at in their bitterness. It's medicine.